So a sheep, if it eats the little bushes, does it eat the flowers too?
A sheep eats anything it finds in its reach.
Even flowers that have thorns.
Even flowers that have thorns.
The thorns, what use are they? What use are they?
The thorns are no use at all. Flowers have thorns just for spite.
No. No, I don't believe you. Flowers are weak creatures. They're naive. They reassure themselves as best they can. They believe that those thorns are terrible weapons.
If the bolt still won't turn, I'm going to knock it out with the hammer.
And you actually believe that flowers have thorns just for spite? Oh,
Oh, no, no, no. I don't believe in anything. I answered you with the first thing that came into my head. I am very busy right now with matters of consequence.
matters of consequence? You talk just like the rest of them. You mix everything up together. You confuse all of them. See, I know a planet where there's a certain red-faced gentleman. He has never smelled a flower. He's never looked at a star. He's never loved anyone. He's never done anything in his life but add up figures. And all he does, over and over and over, just like you, I am busy with matters of consequence, and this makes him swell up with pride, but he is not a man, he's a mushroom.
What?
A mushroom. The flowers have been growing thorns for millions of years. For millions of years, sheep have been eating them just the same, and it's not a matter of consequence to try and understand why the flowers go through so much trouble to grow thorns that aren't any use to them at all. Is the warfare between the sheep and the flowers not important? Is this not more of a matter of consequence than a fat, red-faced gentleman's sums? And if I know, I myself know one which is unique in the world, which grows nowhere but on my planet, but which one little sheep can destroy with one single bite in the morning without noticing what he's doing. Is that not a matter of consequence? If someone loves a flower, of which just one single blossom grows, and all the millions and millions of stars, it's enough to make him happy just to look at the stars, because he can say to himself, somewhere my flower is there. But if the sheep eats the flower, in one moment all the stars will become darkened, and you think that is not important?
The flower that you love is not in danger. I will draw you a muzzle for your sheep. I will draw you a railing to put around your
flowers were always simple. They had a ring of petals. They took up no room. They weren't any trouble to anyone. One morning they would appear in the grass, and by night they would have faded. But one day, from a seed blown from I don't know where, a new flower came up, and I watched very closely over this small sprout, which was not like any other sprout on my planet. It might, you see, have been some new kind of baobab, the shrub. See, it soon stopped growing. It began to get ready to produce a flower. And I was there at the first appearance of a huge bud. And I felt like some miraculous apparition must emerge from it. I don't know. But see, this flower was not satisfied to complete the preparations for her beauty in the shelter of her green chamber. She chose her colors with the greatest care. She dressed herself slowly. She adjusted her petals one by one. She did not wish to go out into the world all rumpled, like those fields of ugly poppies. She was important. It was only in the full radiance of her beauty that she wished to appear. She was a gentle creature, and her mysterious adornment lasted for days and days. And then one morning, exactly at sunrise, she suddenly showed herself. And she said, "I'm scarcely awake. I hope that you'll excuse my petals. They're all disarranged." And I said to her, "You're beautiful. You're so beautiful." "Am I not? And I was born at the same time as the sun," she said. I could tell she wasn't modest, but God, so moving, so exciting. I couldn't restrain my admiration. She said, "I think it's time for breakfast. If you would have the kindness to think of my needs." I was completely abashed. I went looking for a watering can and I tended to her, but very quickly she began to torment me with her vanity. And one day she was speaking of her thorns, and she said, "Let the tigers come. Let the tigers come with their claws," she said. See, I said, "There aren't any tigers on my planet. Besides, they don't eat weeds." "I'm not a weed," she said. "Please excuse me," I responded. "I'm not at all afraid of tigers, but I have a horror for drafts. I suppose you wouldn't have a screen for me," she said. Horror for drafts, what a complex creature. She said, "At night I want you to put me under a glass globe. It's very cold where you live, you see, in the place where I came from." But she stopped herself, because she'd come from a seed. She didn't know any other world, and embarrassed over having herself be caught on the verge of such a naive untruth, she coughed 2 or 3 times in order to put me in the wrong and pity, and said, "The screen?" "I was just going to look for it," I said. Then she coughed a few more times, so I'd suffer remorse too. In spite of all the goodwill that was inseparable from my love, I'd come to doubt her. I'd taken seriously words which were without importance, and it made me very unhappy. I ought not have listened to her. One never ought listen to flowers. One should simply look at them and breathe in their fragrance. Mine perfumed all of my planet. But I didn't know how to take pleasure in all her grace. The tale of claws, which disturbed me so much, should only have filled my heart with tenderness and pity. The fact is, I didn't know how to understand anything. I ought to have judged by deeds and not words. She cast her fragrance and her radiance over me. I had never to have run away from her. I ought to have guessed all the affection that laid behind her poor little stratagems. Flowers are so inconsistent, but I was too young to know how to love her. "Goodbye," I said. "Goodbye. I've been silly. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please try to be happy," she said. I was taken aback by her response. I held her, and I didn't understand her sweetness. She said, "Of course I love you. It's my fault that you have not known it all the while. That is of no importance, but you have been just as foolish as I. Try to be happy. Let the glass globe be. I don't want it anymore." I said, "But the wind, cold isn't that bad. But the animals, I said. Well, I must endure the presence of 2 or 3 caterpillars if I wish to become acquainted with the butterflies. It seems that they are very beautiful, and if not the butterflies and the caterpillars, who will call upon me? You will be far away. And as for the large animals, I am not at all afraid of them. I have my claws. But don't linger like this. You've decided to go away. Now go. She just didn't want me to see her cry. She was a proud flower. You know, my flower, I am responsible for her. She is so weak. She's so naive. She has 4 thorns. Of no use at all. They won't protect her from the world around her. I want to go home to her. I want to go home.